Again, you are back with the Raspy Voice Kids. I am Brandon Phoenix, a.k.a. I Also Hate Pitt. And I am not joined by Jeremy J. and Fiend Phoenix. The man is busy. He's got stuff to do, but he'll be back next week, so don't you miss him. Don't you forget him. We want to let you know that, as always, we're brought to you by Sandwich University. What are they? They're the king of the fat sandwich. That's what they are. Located on 461 High Street in Morgantown, West Virginia. When you go there, tell them the Raspy Voice Kids sent you. We're also brought to you by Shrinkables, as Jeremy would say, Shrinkables. And get swilled with Swilled Dog Hard Cider, our newest sponsor, West Virginia company, something we're very proud of. Go find them and always be responsible. Today, we have a very special guest, a man named Mr. Erik Richards. He is the National Recruiting Director for the 2019 All-American Games. And he's been so gracious as to take some time from his very busy schedule from FBU to the All-American Game to his work with Adidas to come on to the Raspy Voice Kids podcast. We're grateful for your time, Mr. Richards. Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it, Brandon. Anytime I can talk to the new hotbed of high school football with the way things are going in the state of West Virginia. I tell you what, Darnell Wright and then Doug Nestor actually got an invite today as we speak.
He did. You guys invite today?
Big offensive lineman, out of Spring Valley. So, it's coming, and you got one of the top freshmen in the country, Isaiah Johnson's there. So, if they figure out a way to keep all this talent at home, you're going to be back in good shape again and back on top.
That's what we're looking at all the time. It's how do you keep West Virginians home? And it's not just on the football field. We're trying to keep talent in-state from all perspectives. In fact, President Grier from WVU once said, we need to build a wall around the state and keep all that talent in. So I'm with you. If we can get Darnell Wright, if we can get Doug Nestor, if we can keep Isaiah Johnson, Amir Richardson, and so many more, things for sure are looking good for WVU.
Absolutely. Kerry Martin, the safety out of Capital. And the list just goes on. And like I said, we're real fired up about Isaiah Johnson. I mean, the kid tested well. He played well. He played in our Adidas freshman All-American game last year. Had a pick six for a touchdown, had a fumble scoop that he almost took back to the house, was named MVP in the game. And so that's one to keep your eyes on in the 2021 class, Brandon.
Well, we're always looking out for that 304. Anytime we get a chance to shout it, we do it. We hashtag it. We want people to know there really is talent in this state. What do you think has been the biggest difference? Because like you said, we're the new hotbed. And, of course, that's relatively speaking. Why has there been such a jump in talent in the state? What do you think?
I think a lot of it is that those players with 7-on-7s and with showcases and, Nike openings and Rivals 3-Strike challenges and, of course, the Football University Top Gun camps, now those kids are getting out and getting to them. And so the exposure helps tremendously. And, when you get to those type of events and showcases, Brandon, you have to step your game up and you have to compete because you're competing against the players from Ohio, the players from Florida, the players from Georgia. And so all it does is elevate your game. It's kind of like if you play golf or tennis, some of your listeners will be able to, convert this over that you have to step up your game. You kind of play to the level of your competition. And I think that's helped the West Virginia athletes being on the national stage with these athletes from Georgia, Bama, California.
Do you think the talent's always been there then? It's just they haven't had the exposure, they haven't had the opportunity to showcase it. Is that what you're essentially saying?
Yeah, I think let's face it. It's not an easy place to get to from a big airport standpoint. So if it's not an easy place to get into, that means it's not an easy place to get out of. So, it's one of those things to where, with the events and with the showcases, and now that these players are being able to compete on a national level, it's going to help the state overall. And then in turn, it'll help Dana, build West Virginia into the national powerhouse that they were. Used to they were a scared opponent. You never wanted West Virginia as a non-conference game. When Pat White was there, and Steve Slayton and Tavon Austin and all these great players that have come through there, and I think Dana's got them back to that, and a big part of that was it wasn't an easy get to get Will Grier. They were in a war with Ohio State as it came down to his final choice. And I think Will just decided he liked the atmosphere better, loved the fan base, and obviously loved the offense that fit his style.
Well, we just had Chad on the show, and we know you're familiar with him, obviously as an individual, but also as Will's father. And Chad talked so much about our fan base and how much of a difference that made to him. But talking about getting a guy like Will Grier, a North Carolina native, playing at Florida, making the transfer decision, what does that do for the prestige, or what does that do for the stature of WVU as a destination program?
Well, it puts you back on the map. I mean, even me, just local SEC guy, always sought out West Virginia games on Saturday afternoon because you were going to see a quarterback and an offense that threw up 500 yards, 5 TDs a game, exciting, get down the field type offense. And so to get that kind of player, it was I'm not going to say you lucked into him, but I think Florida with the coaching changes made a huge mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Of giving up on him rather too easily. I can say that now as the coach has moved on from there, and it's not really Mullen's fault, but the old staff kind of didn't. They wanted to bring in their guy that they recruited, and they weren't willing to wait out Will serving out his suspension and coming back, and that kind of, in my opinion, now because Georgia goes down and plays Florida, and so I see these SEC teams that play Florida. I think Florida, the only thing Florida was missing the last 2 years was a quarterback.
Got that right.
Defense was good, had some good receivers. If they'd have had a quarterback, that'd have been a scary bunch the last 2 years.
But he was in Morgantown lighting it up.
Yeah, that he is. And, it's funny, during the season, he wasn't really mentioned as a guy that, might come out or whatever else. But the latest 2019 projections I've seen and the scouts I've talked to in the NFL department most of them have him number one on the board.
And he should be. I look at the guy, and again, we don't pretend to be journalists. I certainly do not pretend to be an expert in any way like you are. But looking at it objectively as a fan, he's got the arm talent. He's got the mobility. He's got the moxie. And he doesn't seem to be afraid of the moment. What are the other things that these scouts like you are looking at that makes Will Grier jump off the page?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is he's the third most famous person in his family. So,
he might be fourth. He might be fourth.
Yeah. If Coach Grier keeps on winning, he's going to be fourth. He just has that it. I started scouting and recruiting him as an 8th grader. Chad sent me a tape. He played at Davison Day, and Chad sent me a tape, and the very first highlight on the tape, and I'm sure if you Google it on YouTube, you'll see it as an 8th grader. He hurdles a 6-foot safety on his way to about an 80-yard touchdown run, and I was like, oh my gosh, we hadn't even got to the throwing yet, and that jumped out. And the crazy thing about it is, Brandon, the younger brother was probably in the 8th grade even better than him.
Hayes?
Yeah. I mean,
I think Hayes might have made the right career choice, though. I think he's okay.
Oh, well, yeah, but trust me. He's
he can ball.
He could ball, but not taking any hits and living in Hollywood, California, and doing Dancing with the Stars at age 16 probably isn't a bad gig either. But
no.
He in the 8th grade, and I don't want to get way off topic here, but I do want to give your fan base that there was another. I mean, it's in the bloodlines.
His dad played at East Carolina, like you said.
Yeah, but Hayes could flat out sling it as an 8th grader to the point that the number one quarterback in 2019 is a kid named Sam Howell out of North Carolina, and he was Hayes' backup on the FBU National Championship All-Star team as an 8th grader.
That's nuts. That really is crazy.
Who says the herd hater ain't got no rhythm? When you're listening to the RVK Power 5 podcast, you're as cool as the other side of the Power 5 pillow! That's what I am.
Thank you for listening to the Raspy Voice Kids podcast. We want to give a special shout and thank you to our sponsors, the people who make it happen. 461 High Street is where you can find the king of the fat sandwich. That is Sandwich U. We also want to thank Shrinkables. And we want to give a special shout and thank you to our newest sponsor, Swilled Dog. which means the Raspy Voice kids are now encouraging you to get swilled. Responsibly, of course. And if you're looking for us, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, it's Raspy Voice Kids. We also have a special fan group called Raspy Voice Mountaineers. iTunes, Podbean, SoundCloud, YouTube, all of those places, Raspy Voice Kids. Like, subscribe, comment. Please give us a review. We thank you. And don't forget, we also hate Pitt.